after we watched the 30 for 30 Tuck rule, and the guy who was on that Raider team, he's an absolute legend. He's a Hall of Famer, Pro Football Hall of Famer, College Football Hall of Famer, Heisman Trophy Award winner, one of my favorite wide receivers all time. Number 81, Tim Brown joins him. Morning roast here on 95.7 The Game. Tim, good morning. Joe Shasky, the Butcher, Bonte Hill. And let's just start right here, Tim. Let's get right into it, man. We don't want to waste your time. 30 for 30 Tuck roll, and it was fascinating.
It was so good.
You were great on there. I like the mini fro you got working there, too, Tim. You look good, man. Yeah, you're like a fine wine. But look, is that the biggest woulda, coulda, shoulda for you? That game right there, the Tuck rule game?
Yeah, I was a little offended by Teddy saying, a lot of coulda, woulda, shouldas. I mean, there's not a lot. There's only one, and that is if that thing would have been called a fumble, then the game would have been over. They had no timeouts. We would have settled the ball. That would have been it. And Tom Brady's legend, who knows what would have happened, but it wouldn't have happened that year. That's for sure. So, but other than that, man, I thought Woodson did an incredible job of really going after Tom. They have that kind of relationship. He can do that. I don't know if anybody else could have ripped Tom the way he did.
No, that was great. I mean, it was absolutely great. And Eric Allen, yourself, and Lincoln Kennedy, everybody talking about it. I remember where I was, sitting in the living room watching that game, and I didn't know what the Tuck rule was at that time. It looked like a fumble to me. Did you know that the Tuck rule existed?
Yeah, and I'm surprised Teddy didn't bring this up, and I brought it up, but they didn't play it. But there was a play early in the season. They should have played with the Patriots and the Jets, but there was a play with Kurt Warner. It was a Monday night game, and I remember they called that Tuck rule, and I said to Teddy, they're just looking for a reason. If that's a real deal, then that's what they're going to come up with. But I think the thing for us was it took almost 12 minutes for them to come up with that decision. So obviously. They were searching for something to lay their hat on here. So
12 minutes.
12 minutes. I remember that Hall of Famer Tim Brown here on the Morning Roast on 95.7 The Game. I kept thinking when they went to review, because I thought it was a great time blitz by Charles Woodson. I thought you guys played great in the snow, better than I could have ever imagined. And I remember they showed a clip of Al Davis in the box. And I said to myself, Tim, they're going to screw the Oakland Raiders. They're going to screw them. And did you guys think about that after the game? Was like, because the NFL and Al Davis, we know about their relationship there. It wasn't the greatest relationship. You know that. We all know that. Did that kind of pop into your head during that 12-minute delay?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, we knew they were looking for a reason to hang their hat on something, and if they had anything that was, you hear Walt Coleman last night. Oh, I mean, it was a fumble. It was a fumble. I knew it was a fumble. Well, why did it take you so long to come to that conclusion then? But yeah, and certainly right after the game, I mean, Gruden made the statement. They're never going to allow you guys to win here. And I thought that was pretty interesting that he used you guys and not us. And I went up to him and he's like, what do you mean by you guys? And he just sort of walked away from me. Of course, a couple of days later, he was traded to Tampa Bay. So maybe he knew something we didn't know. But, yeah, look, I heard Lincoln say that, we really hadn't felt that kind of, distrust from the NFL. I was like, Lincoln, what team were you on? I mean, every week we were getting letters saying, "Oh, we apologize, we missed this call, missed that call." But it's just one of those things, man. As a Raider, you got used to you couldn't leave the game in the hands of the officials because some kind of way we felt like we were going to get screwed.
Wow. So there's a lot to unpack there. Walt Coleman said he never refereed a Raider game in 17 years.
And that was the right thing for him to do, not the referee, not the Raiders.
Wow. And then the Gruden thing, so I thought that was fake. I didn't believe that was real. We read about it. Yes. We heard about it. But I was like, there's no way Gruden would say that after a game. After a loss like that, when you guys are on your way to Pittsburgh, and I thouuld you guys were going to beat Pittsburgh. I really did. I thought you matched up really well against the Steelers that season. That was a real thing, saying you guys will never win here. Wow. Did you lose any respect for Gruden?
Never allow you guys to
never allow you guys to win here. Did that kind of make you lose a little respect for Gruden there? And that's got to hurt, man, to hear a coach say that about after a loss like that.
No, I took it as, he was saying the NFL, they were going to find a way to not let this team win. I don't think it was a personal shot at the team itself. It was, for the NFL to do what they had just did, I think everybody was feeling the same way, but to me, it was all about him saying, you guys and not us, because if we were going to be a team, then, why are you separating yourself?
Right.
But I knew, 2 days later, like I said, I knew exactly, that statement he made a lot of sense because he was on his way to Tampa.
So Belichick, I mean, clearly you have respect for both of these guys, but Belichick's sitting there going, oh yeah, I knew all along. Super stoic, classic Belichick. And then Brady's over there, like basically tongue in cheek, like, yeah, it was me tucking it. And I mean, the two of them, you're sitting there and you're the former player. It's your career on the line there, and you're here, Woodson. I think we would have went back to back that going to Super Bowls. I mean, when you see those two and their reactions, Belichick and Brady, what's going through your mind?
Look, I think Belichick, like you said was classic Belichick, right? The little tongue in cheek and during the production with Woodson, Tom Brady said multiple times it was a fumble.
Wow.
He couldn't help but to say it was a fumble because it just sort of just kept coming out. And you look at that one picture, the picture at the end of the broadcast, a still shot, and you see that Tom's left hand is not touching the ball, but it's on its way for sure. But certainly he is not in a throwing position. The ball is definitely back. And this whole thing about you got to tuck the ball like you're a running back, that makes no sense for a quarterback to ever do that. Why would a quarterback ever tuck the ball if he, is still trying to, get the ball down the field? So anyway, so I just found it very interesting how Tom kept saying that it was a fumble. And of course, we expect Belichick to be Belichick in situations like that. So,
Hall of Famer Tim Brown here on 95.7 The Game. What did you think about Robert Kraft saying, yeah, I wanted it to be a night game? Because Lincoln Kennedy's ticked off about that.
Yeah.
To this day, he's ticked off about that game being played at 8:15 Eastern time. What did you guys think about it leading up to the week saying, man, we got to play at night in the snow?
I mean, I don't think anybody was fretting about the fact that it was going to be cold, it was going to be snowing. Our whole deal was, hey, look, we got 3 hours to play. They got to live here. Let's go do what we have to do and get out of here. And I think for the most part, man, I think both teams were affected by footing. So, the cold weather didn't affect us at all. I think we probably had more guys without sleeves on than they did. So it wasn't that type of situation, man. And 8:15 Eastern time is 5:15 our time, so that wasn't a big deal for us. I think we played a pretty solid football game under the circumstances, man. And in situations like that, you got to get a bounce to go your right way. And even when you think you got the bounce, you force the bounce, and the bounce you get the bounce. They find a way to take the bounce away from you, and that is something that you really can't overcome. And I think another thing Teddy said, I can't wait to see Teddy. I got a couple words for Teddy when I see him. But if you're a tough-minded team, you just bounce back and let it go. Come on, bro, stop tripping. You guys hadn't won a Super Bowl at that time, and believe me, that would have crushed you guys too if that's how the game would have ended. So
I love your candor, and I appreciate you being so honest and forthright with us. We're talking to Tim Brown. I mean, one of the greats of all time in Raider Nation, and we're talking about the Tuck Rule because the 30 for 30 thing came out last night. There's a lot of little elements that we forget, right? I don't even remember the Troy Brown fumble. I mean, at all.
Right.
And even Brady and Woodson are like, we don't even remember that fumble. Is there any other element that maybe wasn't part of the document or something that you were jogged and you didn't remember, through all these years, but then you go back and you go, man, they should have included this?
Well, there were a couple of plays in that game that we felt like the referees hadn't really been on our side about. I mean, there were a couple of plays on their sideline that we had in regards to getting the first down, and we felt like the referees, because their coaching staff was like, it was right here, and they would mark the ball exactly where the coaches told them to mark the ball, even though in our eyes it was clear that we had gotten a couple first downs. So, I think, surely they didn't want to make that a condemnation of the referees, per se, anyway. So I'm sure they tried to stay away from that.
Wow.
But, I think there were a couple of interesting plays in that game that they could have focused defenses on to really set the tone for what we thought was us getting screwed, you know?
Yeah. Most recently, the Niners played in the NFC Championship game, and me and Bonte went to the game, and I'm like, 4th and 2. You got to go for it. Like, you just have to. Momentum,
Right.
everything that's going on right there. And then I'm watching last night. They showed the Zach Crockett play on 3rd down, and then Lincoln Kenny's like, I wanted to go for it on 4th down.
Yeah.
Should Gruden have gone for it on 4th down?
Without a doubt. You know, I think in that situation, because there was an error with Big Frank and, you know, our right guard, thinking that it was 15 instead of 14, you know, and that was the reason why the guy came free and blew up the fullback and, you know, and Zach. So I think in that situation, you know, that play we had gotten the first down we were almost 99% on that play.
Yep.
You know, the whole year, because it's one of those plays. It doesn't matter what the defense does. There's an answer for it with the offensive line, what they do. You know, so I think in that circumstance, being that we didn't get blown up, and you know, we ran it the right way. Being that there was an error, I definitely think that we should have. Of course, in hindsight, 30 years, yes, we should have gone for it. Absolutely. But you take in the conditions and everything, but with Troy runs the ball back almost to the 40-yard line, so really we only got 15 yards of field position change.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a good point, Tim. And Teddy Bruschi, I can't wait for you guys to meet. Hopefully you film it for us because we want to see that. We want insight on that conversation because he was chirping a lot. And he also said the Gruden timeout in overtime gave the Patriots time to clear the snow like they did back in '82 against the Dolphins with the guy on the work release program getting out of jail. Bruschi was talking about that timeout Gruden did. Did you ever think about that? Was like, man, it should be illegal for them to clear the snow. What are they doing?
No, that was a 20-yard field goal. There was really no way. Right. Of course, there's a chance he slips, but if he doesn't slip on a 45-yard field goal, chances are he's not going to slip on a 25-yard field goal, whatever that was. But no, I think our focus, was really done after the Tuck rule. I think our defense did a really good job to hold them to a 40-some-yard field goal.
Right.
And of course, Vinatieri making that kick sort of breaks your heart on our side of the ledger for sure. But one of those games, man, I think will be discussed forever, no doubt about it.
Do you think about it every single day?
Not every day, but certainly, around this time of the year, it's very hard not to think about it. You know what I mean? Because I agree with Woodson. Now, I don't know. Well, this certainly has not been talked about because there was no reason to talk about it. But I was out for the playoffs after that game. I hurt myself in that game. I had torn my sports hernia, and so I made the Pro Bowl that year. And 3-4 weeks later, I went over to the Pro Bowl, and I still couldn't run. So I definitely would not have played in the game the next week. So that would have been extremely heartbreaking for me to watch our team go out there and for the first time in my career, for the most part since my injury in '89, I would not have been participating in the game. So,
Tim, which one of the narratives kind of drives you and your buddies from those teams, from that team, the most crazy? Is it the Belichick's a genius narrative? Brady's the GOAT, and that's where it started? Is it the Vinatieri legacy? Because, I felt like so many narratives derive from this game. Which one kind of is the one that gives you the most anxiety?
I think before this documentary, I had never heard Tom admit that it all started there and it all could have gone in a different direction, So it was great to hear him admit that because I've said for years, every time I talk about this, that Tom Brady, in every interview he does, no matter if it's football related or not, because if not for that game, he probably wouldn't be in the position that he's in. Just say, I want to thank the Oakland Raiders for being who they are. Okay, what was your question again? Because I just thought that everybody's like, well, Tom would have certainly been our starter the next year. Stop it. stop it. Just stop it with that BS, because there's just no way that you let a guy, your starting quarterback, let a team from the West Coast come in a driving snow and beat you, and it was your fault because you fumbled the ball. And he's going to be our starter going into the next year. So anyway, not saying that Tom wouldn't have come and won 5 or 6 Super Bowls still, but the legacy wouldn't have started then. That's for sure.
Man, Tim, you're such a great sport to have to relive this.
Awesome.
You were awesome in that documentary.
Thank
It was
you.
one of my favorites, 30 for 30, the Tuck Rule. Check it out. I'm a Niner fan, Tim. Shasky's a Niner fan. We watched that game live, but we both said back in 2002, you guys got screwed.
Yeah.
That was a fumble.
I didn't even know that rule existed.
I can't believe it. Once they went to the replay, I didn't realize it was 12 minutes. I'm like, they're going to screw Al Davis and the Raiders. And what do you know? They did it. And then that nugget about Gruden in the locker room saying they're never going to allow you to win here in Oakland. That's just phenomenal stuff. Tim, enjoy the Super Bowl this Sunday. Thank you so much for the time, man. We'll do it again soon.
Hey, sounds good, guys. Appreciate your time.
Anytime. Tim Brown, a Hall of Famer here on the Morning Rush on 95.7 The Game. Longtime Raider. Of course, he played with the Bucs in 04. We'll remember him as a Raider. Damn.